I'm going to tell you what I just told Harry before I hit play. I said, interviewing you is almost like interviewing a Sasquatch. That's what it is. Because seeing Harry Poulton on camera doesn't happen very often. If you Google Harry Poulton, there will not be one picture without the 1980s big rims. Not one picture without that in existence. So we're heading to the London sale. It's raining. What a miserable day it was today. I had time to train Carter Michael Dio before I left. I was happy with him. I thought maybe it was a tiny bit flat training today, but it's such a miserable day. People forget it's not like beach volleyball. The horses don't like it too when they go out and it's 4 degrees in the morning. So I trained Carter. He trained good, but very manageable and very behaved. So that was more important than anything. Under scope, nothing to be found. So that was great. Hasn't been a great start to the week. Sunday, we had those 2 fillies. We opted to turn out. The blood was completely screwed up on Blue Tesla and Bravura. Oh my God, their GGTs were through the roof. Both of them had muscle counts that were a little bit high. You know what? As I said to Steve the other day, there's a couple of clients. What's that?
Long year.
Then that's exactly what I was just about to get to. Was that it's been a long year, and when you start to see those bloods that won't come around, we call it tired, but it is noticeable in the blood. You can see it. And these horses, they raced how their blood looked. And their blood, like when you get high livers, you know as well as I do, it's been a tough year for us with that. Yeah. And it's been a tough year for everybody. They don't come down very easy. They're a very difficult level to move. And, when I look at all that looked bad in those fillies' blood, none of it was fixable quickly. Just turn them out in the field. We can give them 3-4 weeks off and bring them back and race them all winter, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So Blue Tesla and Bravura are going to get a short break because their blood necessitated it. It's pretty clear when I look at it that they're just not good right now, and we see it on the track. Race last night, I watched Sailor halfway down the lane. Looked like he was going to get a big chunk, and then just got out of gear a little bit and looked flat. And I noticed it because it was exactly the night I won with him. He didn't look good the night I won with him, but he just got up to win in 54 or something. And I think he probably tried it in 55 a bit last night, but he blew a pus pocket out of his foot. Now, not a quarter crack that was there before. I'd said to Dominic, you might want to try maybe a mushroom shoe on him. If he continues to have those walls, those back portions of his walls.
He was running in last night too.
Yeah. He runs in bad anyway, but you noticed it last night, real bad. It was right hind. So, pus pocket come out on him. It shouldn't be that hard to fix because it wasn't a typical quarter crack that bled. It was just a pus pocket that opened up and should be easy to fix. But the biggest thing moving forward is now we've seen that quarter let go 3 or 4 times. I told him maybe put a mushroom shoe on him that takes the pressure right off that quarter.
Let it grow out.
Exactly. Let it grow down. Now White Tiger and White Tiger, I'm laughing because somebody, a friend of mine that was a very pragmatic person and very blunt, had sent an email to someone else about the White Tiger situation, and it was fair. It was it was a fair question, but it was not meant for me. It was pretty clear. So I had sent them back. Nothing feels worse than sending an email to the wrong person. So it really was. It was just saying, hey, there's got to be a better place for White Tiger, and it looks like he get beat by 4-year-olds. Listen, getting up into that, first and foremost, Locatelli is and was supposed to be a better horse than White Tiger. So it's not like, oh my God, he get beat by Locatelli. Locatelli is and will be a better horse than White Tiger. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're both very, very good horses.
Very useful.
White Tiger is 6. Locatelli's 4. Locatelli raced in the Hamiltonian. Like, it's not like there's this vast difference, but he was bought to be a better horse. He wasn't.
For sure.
So White Tiger has found his way into a club where he's winning 52. Then he won in 53. He raced good. He's been racing good. And quite frankly, I thought the horse raced great. The one thing, he's over on the right shaft a little bit, which is a little concerning. I think he ran down a little bit left hind, and he's raced 4 weeks in a row. I said to Dominic, why don't we just give the horse a week off?
It's tough racing.
It's tough. And when you get into the open, it's not like you just say, we'll go somewhere else. White Tiger doesn't get around a 5/8 is good. Where are you going to send him? Meadowlands? There's nowhere to send this horse. This is where he is. He's an open trotter now. You might say, well, he's never won the open. Hold on. You're right. He didn't, but he would have won the Open had James moved him 3 starts ago. But that's James. He is here also because of the way James has been driving him. So you can't complain when James underdrives him because that is how he got to where he is. And White Tiger is an open horse, has been a very good horse. And I think the biggest takeaway for those people worried about White Tiger and his potential to do well, horse made $40,000 in his last 5. In case you're wondering. He's been a pretty nice horse. I don't ever talk about that stuff. I don't dwell on it. But at the end of the day, White Tiger will find his way to the winner's circle in the Open. There is no two ways about that. But it's just one of those things. It's not a big deal. And I know, people see that we'll talk about Cincher in a minute. But we moved him over to the Meadows and he took off. Doesn't always work that way. We always want to get horses in where they can win, but Cincher's a little different. He's super versatile. He won and a half in Charlottetown in 15-1. He's a nice old horse. You can truck him. You do whatever you want. Just a good horse. White Tiger and Cincher are not the same horse, in case you're wondering. White Tiger's just excelling. He is at the best place in his life right now, and it took 5 years to get him there. 5 years. That's what it took, right? And now he's becoming a nice horse. And, quite frankly, I went out of there last night thinking I would get away behind James and stay a little closer. Ed Hensley went enough that I couldn't get in front of him. But luckily, when he moved, he kind of just stogged the flow, and I sifted my way through. Chris said last night, left stifle was shaking on that horse pulling up. And he said something else. Left stifle was shaking. He said maybe iodine or something. I can't remember. That was the gist of it anyway. Anyway, that was the main component of what he said last night. But Locatelli, somebody said to me, it just seems like Locatelli gets away on the front, or he's a kilometer behind every race. At some point, we got to find our way to the middle of the pack with him if we don't get away in the front, and he will. But you guys see the transition also. These horses don't just turn into monsters overnight, especially we bought them. Even I bought White Tiger as a baby, and he's been 5 years developing him to get to where he is now. We tried him without the hobbles as a 4-year-old, run all over the track a couple of times. We had to put them back on him. Everything that culminated to right now had to happen the way it did. It's much like when you look back on your life and say, it's hard to figure you get to where you are. Yeah, it's the same for horses too. White Tiger's road to where he is right now was not smooth or paved, a little bumpy. And Locatelli, his future's bright. This is a 4-year-old coming. But you guys are now seeing, when we talk about that transition from 3 to 4, it's a Shark Tank. It's a dogfight out there, and it's not easy. The guy that finished 3rd or 4th to Cincher in the Meadows doesn't mean he's not an open pacer. It just means he get in with a horse that's better than him. The exact same reason I didn't want Cincher racing against Tattoo Artist. It's just not fair. But that is the top line, the top level of racing. It isn't like the middle conditions where we can move them around and send them somewhere else. White Tiger's not going anywhere because he gets around a 7/8 real good. He's staying here, right? And there's nowhere. It's not like we can just send Locatelli somewhere and say, oh, he'll be fine. It doesn't work that way. So when we're in that top level, that's why somebody said, well, I thought we weren't racing our horses against one another. In this particular case, we're looking for a class for both of them. I don't imagine that both will stay in the Open. I don't know how much Locatelli has made last 5, but I would assume at some point he can drop down a little bit, right?
Yeah, at one point he will.
Yeah.
Unless he can't, because he wins his next start.
Well, yeah, if he wins his next start, then you won't have to worry about it. Then it's a whole different problem to have. But at the end of the day, we have 2 open trotters. Neither have won the Open, and both most certainly will at some point. So, both those horses raced good last night. Locatelli picked me off for 4th, right?
Yeah.
I was 5th, he was 4th, and both horses raced very, very well. So, although it wasn't... Listen, we had a fantastic week last week. We had a mediocre start to the week this week, but that can all change again at any point. Globetrotting race yesterday, finished 3rd, but going into the race, I knew coming on nasty quarter crack right hind that blew open that hard track we raced at Mohawk the last time, and her AST wasn't super elevated, like a 1300, but the CK was down around 4, so she could race, but she wasn't going to be at 100%, so she will her next start. We got a number of horses racing this week also, and Harry and I are off to the sale. I did call around today. The Cincher was not Ivan Miller, Ohio, guaranteed Amish. 100%. 100%. I can't place the gentleman, but I guarantee you that's what it is. So, Sintra, the Open's not filling at the Meadows. Shockingly, they had 3 entries this week. But when I went to call Mohawk on the way down to get you, they said, well, the Breeders' Crown for aged horses is going right to the final. There's going to be a prep race this week. I said, that's a hard no. I said, Sintra can just wait a week. If you guys... What?
It's race 3 weeks now. Right?
Yeah, I said he can wait a week, and if it happens that you guys have a preferred next week, let me know. But a preferred means I don't want to race against. Well, we won't, because Tattoo Artist especially will be in the Breeders' Crown. So will Rory Vital. Those are the 2 horses that, I doubt Tattoo Artist is going to stick around Ontario. I suspect he'll go back to Yonkers. And Rory Vital, unfortunately, we're probably going to have to bump into him at some times. He is an Ontario horse. He is trained by Rob Fellows. And, I would love to have the best horse in the Open. It doesn't work that way all the time. So
having one that's capable of getting money in the Open,
yeah,
not a bad thing.
Exactly, not a bad thing at all. So Sintra will not be in to go this week. He'll get the week off. Tim had wanted to take him to the Poconos, and I was a little hesitant, and then he said, they're not going to go with it. I said, good. So he's going to stick around. I don't think they'll be able to fill the preferred at the Meadows again, in which case he'll come home and you'll race him in the preferred next week. As I said, heading off to the sale right now. Did you get through? You didn't get through the book at all.
No.
Yeah. I went through the entire book. I gave you guys 10 I liked. I got my top 3 that I want, and I got a sneaky suspicion I might have been a little hard on the sale. We'll see. I think it might be strong, but I think we can do some business down here today. Maybe. We got 5 Ontario breds already that we've already picked up. I'd like to have 12. I'd like to have 10 to 12 Ontario breds. I know there'll be some people that want to send us horses, so we'll reserve 2 spots for people that want to send us horses privately, but for the most part, I believe we'll have 10 to 12 Ontario breds for 2023. What do we got going up? Do we have anything qualifying this week? What's going on this week?
We got here's qualifying Patrick Friday, I believe, right?
Patrick, right? Jason is gone away, and Cindy is gone away.
We're going to school Resolute Bay and Arch Rainbow this week.
Arches Rainbow, right, to schooling this week, and the red guy. The only problem I have, both those red horses and Renegade Gypsy all fit the same class, and unless Mohawk's going to fit a bunch of them, I don't know where we're going to send them. I'm going to, a lot of people have asked me about keeping the horses over to 4, and there's been talk of selling Renegade Gypsy, which led to, as it usually does with horses that people are fond of it, it led to almost a civil war in the ownership group. But I think the way those horses are racing, that all 3 of those horses have been great all year. All 3 of them. And as I told everybody, as good as Resolute Bay is, I think he'd be better at 4. He's still growing. Of those 3 horses, he's the most immature.
He'll get strong.
Oh, 100%. Resolute Bay is still very immature. Red Overbach, big giant horse. I'm sure he's going to grow a little too, and Renegade Gypsy will. But those 2 have already look much more mature than Resolute Bay.
Look how much he's improved in the last 3 months.
It goes without saying. Those are 3 trotters that could be retained and could stick around, but it depends on what they fit next year and what they fit this winter. I mean, at some point, these horses, it's not like Resolute Bay's been the super soundest horse all year also. At some point, he's going to pull up and say, he's a little tired. And if they start getting sore at their end of the 3-year-old year, I find they get tired much quicker. So, Resolute Bay, I suspect, will have 2 or 3 more starts and find himself in a field somewhere, likely in Aaron. Renegade Gypsy and Red Overbach, as long as they have places to race and can race for a little while, then they'll be fine. But on a week by week basis, James McDonald, I know what that is. On a week by week basis, we'll look at the horses. There's no point making a plan and saying, on this date, this horse will go to the field. Resolute Bay will tell us when he needs to go to the field. So will Renegade Gypsy if he needs to, and so will Red Overbach.
They all do.
You just have to listen.
Yeah,
you just have to listen.
They will.
Yeah. So that's the plan with those 3. What else we got going on? You coming to Harrisburg?
I don't know. You might go there.
I've known you long enough to say I might. It's usually you're usually waiting.
I'm thinking about it. No, I'm thinking about it.
It'd be good. It'd be a good time. I know Lexington was a lot of fun. we've had a great year. We talked earlier about the revenue coming in to buy these horses. We spent a lot of money in Lexington, and every year when I leave Lexington, I got a little chill down my spine, right? Because I know things are about to get real tight. And this year, although they're always going to be tight anytime, because when you look at I'm sure you don't go on the site, but when you look at the stable.ca, every share that's on there for sale is a share that we've had to pay for, right? That somebody hasn't bought. So there's a lot of money on the table, but our clients have been great. Lexington was fantastic. A little shy heading to the London sale, but at the same token, I didn't frame it the same way. I didn't push it the same way. And I know that our Ontario clients are out there, and once we unveil exactly who's in what partnership bucket, those people will come forward, I'm sure. So, anything else? You had a good year, eh?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, couldn't get better. Stock makes a big difference.
Well, it does, and you especially, because you come on 4 years ago, right when we went from okay to pretty good to everybody watches us. When we went to the sale, we had to wait our turn to talk to any of the breeders, and they were always, we were always the last people to get horses shown to. Now we walk into a consignment, and they're like, just 1 second, they come over. It was funny because a gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Brady, he came up to me and he said, so I know you've been to Kentucky a million times, so we're trying to get to where Harry was. It's funny how you come full circle, and everybody, this industry is great and terrible and great all at the same time. Mr. Miller is in desperate need to get a hold of me. We'll talk to you in a minute. When you had, and we've never had On the Road Again or Matt Scooter, but when you have horses like that and you're at the top of the game, it must, because they were back to back, were they not?
No, 4 years apart.
Were they that far apart? I felt when I was a kid that they were back to back. Now, in that 4 year span, what were you looking for? Were you looking for another On the Road Again, or were you looking for nice horses?
Always look for nice horses.
And that's it. That's the thing is that
hit the home run, well, that's a bonus. But you just look for horses that you can put in the box.
And I said that, somebody messaged me the other day and they said, you bought a lot of really good horses in Lexington. Were you planning on spending that much? And what are you planning on spending the rest of the year? And I said, honestly, I don't go to the sale looking for the best horses. I've never had one. But I'm not going to go, I'm going to change our model and say, I want the best horse in the world now. Because you can't buy that. That's the beauty of horse racing. You can't buy the best horse in the world. You have to attain that horse, but you can't buy that. You can't go to the sale and say, I am buying the best horse in the world. It doesn't work that way.
It'd be pretty easy if you could. The guy with all the money would have the same.
Exactly. And all the people going to this sale would be sour because they were all looking to buy one that could maybe race against that guy's horse. But you can't buy that guy's horse. And that's the beauty of this game, is that you never know, right? You just never know what's going to happen. You got to take the good with the bad, but you never know. And it's
if you buy them right and they're built to stay sound. And they are that horse.
Exactly. And you and I just talked about it. We talked about buying Arson and how he was the 11th foal, and I didn't know that On the Road Again was the 12th foal. We talked about Bulldog Hanover, Marion Marauder, and what I had explained to people when they talk about those old bloodlines. I don't care, and you said the same thing, I don't care about the 5 or 6 in the middle because I don't know who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
The ones that didn't show up, did they break down? Did they get hurt? Or were they lame? Were they not good-looking horses?
Right.
What stable did they go to? No one knows any of it. If you can do it. You can do the homework, right? And you'll have even a better picture. But all I need to look at is the one I'm about to buy. I want to look at that horse, and I talk about this all the time. A lot of I said this yesterday in a video where you're talking about a value horse. It's the end of the sale today. He's like 0 for 4 on the front end. 2 horses that raced, but both of them were by kind of so-so sires. I have no idea what those horses look like. And the other 2 horses, I don't know if they're lame or just no good, or maybe this isn't a good mare. All I know is the 2nd and 3rd dams were both loaded with talent, and the horse that I'm looking at is a good-looking horse. And I'm more apt to buy that horse. Many, many times we're more apt to buy that horse because that's the individual purchasing. I don't have to race the 4 that came before that horse. They're already done.
And like you said, you don't know what they look like. It might have been got
Exactly.
240 and went like.
Exactly. You know, how many times you've seen that filly we had that got pneumonia there 2 years ago? She was training down okay and then got sick and got pneumonia. Right? Or you could have heard a horse, maybe the horse got hurt in training, got run into, fell down. Like that filly last year that ripped her knees open. Now, if we just didn't race her at 2, everybody's like, oh, she didn't race at 2. Oh, you don't know why she didn't race at 2, though. You don't know the story behind the story. And quite frankly, it all culminates on you caring or not anyway, because you still have to buy that horse, not the one before. And that's why we do that. I look at that a lot of times. People are like, 0 for 4, no thanks. Oh, hold on. Some of our best horses came from those types of families.
That 5th horse may be one of the best looking horses in the sale.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. And we talked about this with Arson, and I talked about it with Daniel Cordina when we bought Arson. You know, he said, you know, I kind of trapped him a little bit with the 3/4 sister. I knew the information at the bottom of the sale catalog. You want a coffee? Okay.
No, I'm good.
You sure? Okay. Well, we'll get one when we get to London. What had happened was Mr. Cordina had came to the sale with us. You guys had met Daniel last week, and he was the driving force behind us bidding on Tall Dark Stranger's brother and Beach Glass, his sister, and Pebble Beach's brother. He was the driving force behind that. And when it came to the fact that I stopped, I said, no, these horses to me are not worth what we're getting into right now. You know, I had to pull the ripcord. And when it came to Arson, he said, you know, Anthony, I just don't want old mares. So I explained to him that, you know, we can talk about, as I said, on the road again. Like, I didn't know about him. Campfella, Mary Marauder, Bulldog Hanover, Courtly Choice. We can go on and on and on. It doesn't, but the individual coming out of that mare, if you're telling me that as the mare gets older, she just gets poor, it's not factual. Not all the time. Not unless you can tell me why. On the road again was the 12th pole and did well. And I assume, I'm going to be presumptuous, but was On the Road Again's brothers monsters?
Yeah, one early that was decent, and then the rest were...
But not On the Road Again.
No, not even close.
So, exactly. So what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter. Show me a good-looking horse from a strong bloodline, and you have as much a chance as anybody else on sale day, for sure.
Absolutely.
And when it came, exactly. And when it came to Arson, 3/4 brother to Pure Country, one of the better pacing mares of our generation, my generation, this last generation. 2.5 million made, marker 48, won the Breeders' Crown, I believe, twice, at least twice. Had a good brother in between, and then, you know, Daniel had said, well, the rest of the family's kind of rubbish. It's kind of rubbish.
Well, that's kind of how it works.
It wasn't. I trapped him because the 10th bull is the second best filly in North America. Market 51 and 140 made now. Probably 200 made by the time we're talking now. And that was the deciding for it. I said, yes, middle of the family a little weak, but I don't know how that horse crossed with a rock and roll dance and well said or whoever they bred the mare to. I said, but the 10th foal, Arson was the 11th foal, the 10th foal was Charleston, who's arguably, I guess, the second best filly in North America. And Sylviana right now, or one of them, in the mix anyway. And, you know, that's how we end up doing a lot of business, is looking. I tell everybody we're trying to look for angles that are discounts.
Well, you have to buy the horse on the floor, right?
100%.
If you take the $1 million winner off of any mare's page,
Yeah.
most of them are all the same.
Just look the same. Yeah.
Just all the same.
There's very rarely you find a family where there's winner. Not very
You
often.
can help right there on one hand.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many mares you just keep producing?
It's funny too, because there are big owners that will not go back into a bloodline because they know the odds of them striking twice are very low, so they will not go back in. But my take is, we just said, I can't go in there looking for the next world champion.
No.
Right?
You got to buy the horse.
We're not Silva. We're not Diamond Creek. We're not Blue Chip. You know, we're a small stable that is slowly trying to get better, and I think we've done a great job with the model we put in place.
Excellent. Great, excellent.
Well, I mean, we do what we can, but we haven't changed, for the most part, the horses we're looking for. We're looking for what people view as perceived flaws that are not actually flaws, because they take the information in that catalog and on the videos and use it against or for the horse that they're looking to buy, when none of it matters. They're all key indicators, but you, as you just said, you got to buy the horse on the floor.
Exactly.
And if that horse is toed out or toed in or back in its knees or just doesn't look like a good individual, but because its page is great and its video is great and you're going to go buy it for a lot of money, fine. But you don't get to race the page and you don't get to race the video. You have to race the horse you just bought. And that is why I'll allow for a little bit on the front dam being weak.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that horse on the floor is a good looking horse. And I think that is why we were allowed to buy the horses we did for the prices we did. And it's worked out because, you know, we train them hard. And you and I have talked about this. This is what I love, and this is what the stable has proven. And it was tough for me at the start because I don't know if you've noticed, but the way that you train horses and the way that I train horses may not be the same. But at the end of the day, getting them there is all that matters. And I talked to James about this. It's hard.
Yeah.
As a meticulous person, it is hard to watch somebody train your horse a different way than you would, but you have to trust in the people you've hired to do a good job. Yeah. And, you know, it's hard. I've never had Matt Scooter on the road again, so it's really hard for me to make an argument. But as you just said, they're athletes. So when I look at what you had to be, you know, you were a good hockey player. Not many people know this. I didn't know this until my father told me again.
Many times.
Yeah, but you're a good hockey player, right?
Not bad.
And you had to practice a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you were from the age group that your coach was probably hard on you. Yeah. Now, it was starting to go away, but even when I was a kid, you know, you dropped the ball, you ran around the stadium after the game. You made bad mistakes, you worked twice as hard as the other kids to make sure they didn't happen again. So I only look at the athlete the way that I was trained when I was a kid and the way that I was treated and how I turned out, that when I do something, I want to make sure it's done right. And that's how I want our horses to act. So I do train them hard, and I am hard on them, but you don't always have to be. You know, there's a reason that I send the horses to you that you get, because they fit you perfectly, right? And that's the cool thing about this game.
The difference between most people, you know when to stop.
Well, that's the difference. And I think you're right, because you're surrounded by people that obviously, just because I see something one way doesn't mean it's right. I'm not saying I'm right all the time. When I look at a horse, you guys have heard me say it a million times, we just have to back off, right? How many times have we get a horse we had to stop and put in the pool and march?
Yeah.
Those horses are racing now, though. Whereas if we didn't, and this is, I believe in this, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate, but when we train them hard and they start to come apart in March and April, we can stop at that point, put them in the pool, bring them back, and salvage the rest of the year. Whereas if you hide them and hide them and hide them, I believe that little line that we see in a knee in March might be a slab fracture in July. That torque, like that knee, you can't tell me that knee happened that day. That's been a long time coming. Exactly. And it's a weakness, a flaw in that horse. And if we had pretended it wasn't there, or protected it, my belief is in a lot of those cases, that knee still would have come apart, but it would have come apart in a way that could have been catastrophic, but most definitely would have been season ending.
Absolutely.
And that is why we're hard on the horses, because when I look at Ron Brook, right, and Aki Svanstead and Jimmy Takter, all those people are really hard on the yearlings. Now they have one thing we don't, an endless supply of money, it seems, and an endless supply of yearlings. So we have to be a little more protective with ours. When the horses tell you, hey, something's not right, you know, you saw Nothing But a Dreamer train down.
Yep.
The horse was lame from day one. You know, he wore a big roller burr on the inside to Murphy blind, but he was always the same, and he always seemed to get a little bit better, and we always watched him carefully. And he turned into a tough horse because of it. And I believe the way that we train horses down, especially, and it's changed too. It's not like I'm saying, oh, the way that you used to do it or the way you do it is wrong. It's changed also. I mean, when you see the way that horses show up, you never had to have a horse show up and pace at 52 in July and August.
Never.
You know, somebody said, well, you know, you had 3 or 4 horses on Lasix this year. Well, when's the last time you saw a horse have to trot 53 as a 2-year-old to even be mentioned in the sentence of a horse going to the Breeders' Crown? All our horses have won in 55, but they've all seen 53, 54, at least been in races where they're there. And then you see horses coming from Kentucky that have already won in 51. 52 is a 2-year-old trotter.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do. Anyway, it's always cool to see the difference, the contrast between how I would do it and how Harry would do it, or how James would do it, or how Dominic would do it. You and Dominic are like birds of a feather. Very, very similar, right? I'm sure you stay up at night thinking about stuff, and I know you do. Even though you're a million years old now, you still got the day you texted me in the morning to tell me about the horse. And obviously, you thought about it all night, right?
They'll keep you on.
They will, and that's the thing, is that the meticulous way that people go about doing it, even though I might be a little more aggressive and, harder on the horses, I'm always constantly thinking about what's best for the horse and what needs to be done, and trying this and trying that.
Usually that's what works, when you do what's best for the horse.
And, you just took the words out of my mouth. When you listen to the horses, you'll find out they're pretty smart.
Yeah,
they're pretty smart, and they're usually right.
Yeah.
You buy a good horse.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. You buy a good horse and listen to it more times than not, you'll have success. And that's what we're always trying to do. And you touched on
If
it.
anybody's wondering why I'm just looking at the road and not looking at the camera, it's just because I've been watching you for the last half hour trying to get into the trunk of the car in front of you.
Harry, two chevrons, bud.
I'm just paying closer attention than you are.
This is 2 chevrons. I have stayed at 2 chevrons for the entire trip down the 401.
Sure you have.
2 chevrons, right there. Lots of time. And don't worry, this car is equipped with the most modern braking system on planet Earth. You're in good hands, don't worry. Good hands. As I said, I wanted to talk to Harry. I kind of wrote to you, and I knew when he said, I'll get a ride down there. I said, oh, you have no idea.
You don't have to tell me.
You have no idea. Never get a chance to talk to Harry Poulton, and if you ever do, this is the other thing I love about the stable, is that you get people that, Harry would talk to somebody all day long, but a bit of a recluse, though. Just a bit of a recluse. But loves to talk to people, but never would. And the stable works because of people like you. And it's, I've been threatening. I've been trying to finish writing a blog for the industry, for Standardbred Canada and the USTA, because I've had 12 or 13 trainers that have asked us to send them horses, work with us, or show them how to build the stable for them. And it is easy, but it's not. You still have to put in the time. Harry might be reclusive, but every time one of our clients goes into your barn, we always said, oh, Harry's barn, Harry's so nice, talks to us, and everybody in the barn is good. Because people understand and you understand what actually makes us run. It's not just the horses, it's the way people are treated and the way, the comfort level they have in owning horses with us. They know they can come in the barn whenever they want. They know they can email me. Not so much you, but they can email me whenever they want, or text me, or get a hold of me. And that is what makes the stable, the community that we've built. And Harry is a big part of that community, and has been for some time now. And as I allude to the fact, I assume you probably find it's easier too, right? As a horseman, not having to worry about the foolish stuff that we always have to worry about, and being able to focus on the barn.
Well, it makes it easier to do your job. You don't have to be on the phone for 2 hours a day explaining things to people.
Exactly.
I can call you and explain it to you, and you know what I'm talking about exactly. So
and that's what makes the system we have in place so important, is that I can convey whatever Harry thinks or is saying or is doing to everybody the same as anybody else can. That's not to say that any other trainer can't, but bringing people outside their comfort zone is important also, right? And that is what the stable is all about. Being able to make sure that guys like him have full barns of horses, so that you can experience horse racing the way you can. And it's important. It's so important to get people like you involved, but it's very, very important to ensure that people like you stay in the game. And some of those trainers that I've talked to are on the verge of getting out. Because to them, doing what I'm doing right now, or doing what I do every day, is as foreign to them as dancing.
I just couldn't or wouldn't do it.
And the wooden part, the could is possible, but the wooden part is upsetting, because truly, if you had a phone, you set it up in your car, and you left the barn, and you drove home, and you said, hey, went to the barn today, you know, a couple of horses were good, we had quarter crack with one horse. Just, it really wouldn't be that hard to do once you learn to do it.
But the thing about it is, when you're doing that, I can still stay in the barn until I go.
And that's it. It's true.
You know what I mean?
But as I say, if I drop dead today, right, there's no reason why Harry Poulton doesn't continue, because these phones aren't that expensive, and you really could do, well, and I'm so proud of you too. Harry, when I met him, had a flip phone and like just one of those, and now he's got a normal phone. But you could do this if you had to, and that's the difference. Well, if you wanted to. We'll put it this way. Rewind 15 years, 20 years.
Well, I used to do that.
Right? If you wanted to have owners and you wanted to buy horses and you know that this could ensure that happened.
Exactly. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's you know, that's a talk for another day, but I need people to understand out there that we will try and help everybody out. We will try and grow a trainer base in the industry, and we will try and strengthen the core of this industry, or at least show the industry how to do it, because the importance of this program is on display every day when Harry goes to work, right? When Dominic goes to work. Dominic's the same way. Like, have 5 horses forever that he bred, and realistically, a nice enough guy, he could have a barn full of horses and a hard worker. A barn full of horses if he wanted to. So, it was great catching up with you. We're getting off now. As I said, this may be the only video we ever do with Harry. At the same time, it's well worth it.
This is 2 and 6 months.
Oh, that's right.
This is 2 and 6 months. You're pushing.
You did a great job for 2 and 6 months. What, doesn't matter. So, hopefully Centro will be in next week for you here in Ontario. That's the plan. As I said, when we brought him away, that's the beauty of what we do also, is that we have so many people in different places.
Yeah.
We can transplant the horses around, which makes it is a feather in our cap. Because before, you would have to say, I might have to send Centro to somewhere, to somebody. Now we can just say, hey Tim, we're sending this horse over. Just race him for the next few weeks till the Mohawk Open loosens up a little bit, and then we'll bring him back home. And having the ability to do that is a real feather in our cap.
For sure.
Oh, huge. People don't understand how big that is. So, with that, I'll talk to all of you.
When you're sending horse riding, you gotta know where you're sending.
Oh, absolutely. And having people that understand what we're trying to do and how we're trying to achieve it, it's so important. But being open and transparent with both our clients and our trainers gets that done. I know that you watch the videos, even though you pretend you don't. I know you do. And I know that Tim watches them all. All our clients, all our trainers watch the videos in case I missed something also. So, with that, it's a short talk with Harry Poulton as we pull into the London sale here. We're going to do a little business in London, see if we can get those buckets filled up, because I know our clients are eager